welcome back to Casuals Corner, and I didn't want to have to do it, but I'm going to have to do it. Conor McGregor in the news again. I didn't even want to have to be so cliche, and if you follow my channel, you know I don't like to get too negative on this channel, and I'm not, but there's just a few very concerning points that I thought I would probably have to get on my chest. But anyway, before we get into it, if you enjoy what you see, if you enjoy what you hear, please drop a like and a subscribe. And if you don't know what we do, we put out daily MMA content, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, yes, daily, multiple pieces of content. So get your MMA fix, hit that little bell icon to stay up to date as well with the channel. Anyway, enough promo, let's get back into it. So if you don't know what happened, if you live under a rock, this last week, Conor McGregor, in short, had a fight with a DJ. That's pretty much the headline of it. But if you want to know more, let me explain. So Conor McGregor in the morning was in the Vatican. He acquired the keys to the Vatican and baptised his child in the Vatican. The Vatican. That's a pretty monumental experience. And we're going to get back to that, but it just sounds like the plot to an Italian mob film. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So he spent the morning doing that. Of an evening, I'm not sure what he was doing. I don't know the logistics of that too much, but he was with this Italian DJ for multiple hours. These are all through reports, not just my own words. Francesco Facchinetti. Francesco Facchinetti. Francesco Facchinetti. I think that's right. We're going to go with that. So Francesco Facchinetti had spent multiple hours with McGregor, and then apparently out of the blue, he punches him quite close proximity. His security guards are trying to turn the lights off, and apparently they've got him pinned to the wall. And he comes out with a report on Instagram. He's holding his lip. Everything was in Italian, so even though I posted the clip, I just needed someone to translate it for me, which I never got. So I can't tell you word for word what he was saying, but the reports on every media outlet basically came out and said they spent quite a few hours together. It was about 2:30, and McGregor said, come on, let's go to another place or a party or something, and Francesco Facchinetti said, okay, I'll come, and apparently as they were leaving, he punched him in the face. And he said he had a broken nose, but I'm not convinced by the broken nose. Didn't look very broken. But anyway, getting back to the actual point. Not only is this another incident with McGregor, and I don't want to sit here and just create a negative sandstorm around him. I'm not here trying to judge him or anything like that. But there are just a few things that are just blowing my mind recently. Not only is this not an isolated incident, we've seen it recently. We saw it with Machine Gun Kelly. Now, even though that wasn't the craziest of incidents, it was still his name, not in a good light, shone throughout the media. Which is never good. And you can say all publicity is good publicity, but you know what? It's not as much when you're a fighter and it's two members of the public and you aren't even winning in the UFC. Now, I know that sounds terrible. I know that. And I'm not to say, oh, if he was winning in the UFC, he can go and chin Italian DJs. No, that is not what I'm saying. My point being that MMA has a very short memory. So if he was going out there every 3 months, starching a fella in a different way and getting a highlight reel knockout, him having a scuffle with Machine Gun Kelly on the, I was going to call it the red carpet. I guess the carpet was red, but it wasn't Leicester Square. Can you still call it the red carpet if it's not Leicester Square? Or is that just the OG? Anyway, we're getting wildly sidetracked. People have very short memories, like I was saying. So if he was getting those wins, it is a lot easier for people to forget about these little things, or it blows over their mind because he's got a belt here and he's got a big flashy knockout here. But what's happening now is not only are these incidents reoccurring and they're popping up even more regularly, but he's pairing that with this inactivity, and I'm not saying it's his fault he broke his leg, or I'm not saying he should have won all of his fights, but he's pairing that with quite a few years now of no wins behind him. And even with the boxing with Floyd, that's another year that you've got to sort of factor into it. So we're forgetting who that Conor that everyone got excited about is a little bit. And now who a lot of people are seeing him for is this person who goes out and starts trouble with members of the public. Because you have to remember, and the sad thing is, you have to remember, these are all trained professional fighters, and he's not having a scuffle with someone backstage. And Leon Edwards, Masvidal, you take that as a perfect example. I mean, they're even in the same weight class. It wasn't an ideal way it all happened, but I mean, it's pretty fair. I mean, apart from the fact he wasn't looking, he had his hands behind his back. But anyway, it's pretty fair. Is my point being, he's not a trained professional fighter, and he could have broke his jaw. He could have really hurt him. He could have really damaged him. The other day, I'm listening to Dustin Poirier tell me Conor McGregor's the hardest hitting fighter he's ever fought, and I'm hearing he's chinning geezers in clubs and old fellas in bars. That's it blows my. The reason it blows my mind so much is because that's like putting a bat round someone's head. That's the cold reality of it. And he fights at 155. He doesn't walk around at 155, especially not now that he's a beefcake. He's done a bit of upper body and he's looking big. He walks around a lot heavier than that. So he's a big lad and a trained athlete with a sleeper of a left hand, and he's throwing these at will to people in the public. That's a big concern. And the bigger concern to that is there's no repercussions to his actions. You look at all the things that have happened in the recent years, there hasn't really been anything off the back of it. You look at it on paper, no repercussions with his job, really, if you look at the UFC, and there's no repercussions with the law as of yet. So the thing that worries me is Conor McGregor doesn't realise. It's not he doesn't realise. I mean, I think he realises more than anyone. But what I don't understand is why he can't compute his level of influence these days. Because he's not just an athlete. He hasn't been just an athlete for a very, very long time. He's a business mogul. He's almost a billionaire. And the thing is, when you become a billionaire, you start rubbing shoulders with billionaires. And as you can see that, his child got christened in the Vatican City. Its own country. It's the most holy Catholic place in the world. The Pope lives there. I mean, the Pope lives there. I don't know why I'm listing out accolades of the Sistine Chapel. But anyway, my point being, his level of notoriety is unparalleled, really, in some respects, in sport and in society at the moment. How he galvanizes so many people, no matter what he's doing, is crazy. And the influence is just getting bigger, and there's compounding interest with each brand, and the influence gets bigger because when his net worth gets bigger and his confidence gets bigger, it all rolls into one. And now you've got a seriously powerful person walking around doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Now, no one should be doing those things, of course, but my point being, there are so many more eyeballs on him. So not only from a position of influence is he doing these things, he also has to remember he is his own brand. Conor McGregor is proper 12. Proper 12, I haven't had it and don't want to speak to it too much, but I don't imagine it's the best whiskey on the shelf, the way he claims it to be. And I imagine if it weren't his brand, he probably would be drinking an expensive bottle of Johnny Walker. My point being, without his name to a lot of things, without his star being so bright, a lot of his businesses won't do as well. So if he's not winning in the cage and he's not winning outside of the cage, and we're constantly exposed to all of these outbursts, we're constantly exposed to these tweets. I mean, I saw some people laughing at it on Twitter, but some lady just tweeted him some very standard thing in the media, and he came back and just called her some ugly bitch. And I was like, are there not people around you? Has that bell not rung of your importance? It's astounding. You think of, I don't want to translate followers to status, but he's a little bit like that in society. And you have a look how many followers he has and the sort of status he has, and he's just replying like quite offensive tweets to just random women in society. Doesn't look great, does it? It just doesn't look great. And you're pairing that with brands, and you're pairing that with your image. And I feel like the reason I'm saying this, again, is not to judge him, it's not to shit on him, but it's just to say, it looks so foreseeable this is going to catch up with him very, very fast. Because what I've witnessed, the shift in MMA support, is a lot of the people who loved him for a fighter and also loved him for his antics, but within reason, him having quick remarks at Jeremy Stevens, yeah, loved him for that. Didn't love him for chinning an old geezer in a bar because he didn't want to drink his drink. None of that. My point being is, the more times this happens, the more times you're going to just lose fans like me of him. And you're going to lose respect. And then all you sort of have left are these small percentage of just die-hard McGregor fans who see no wrong in any of his actions. But it's just a dangerous spiral. I think it's not for me to sit here and say, oh, he should do this or he should do that. But he's clear someone's got to shake him around him. It's clear he's got to get rid of some yes men around him. Because... And my last point, I won't rant on anymore, but my last point, and I know this is super specific, but it really had me thinking. It was he's embedded with Dustin Poirier, and something just didn't feel right about it. And I just had an inkling from that point he wasn't going to beat Dustin Poirier. And I don't mean that to be like, oh, look back and I was right, or anything like that, but I mean, I didn't really know which way it was going to swing going into it. And then I watched this one clip on Embedded and I was like, no, that's it. Dustin Poirier's got this. He walked out of his house quite literally in silk pyjamas, as the expression goes. I mean, he quite literally was that. He was in some running gear or not, whatnot, but it was snazzy. Anyway, he walks out of his house and he has like a security guard meet him at the front. And he calls him sir, which I always think's a bit weird anyway, because that's your personal security guard. So there's surely some level of personability to that. But then he also got his AirPods out of his pocket, opened I don't know why opening it makes it a bigger deal, but I feel like it is a bigger deal. Opens the AirPods for him and hands him his AirPods. And Conor McGregor just puts them in, turns around, doesn't say thank you, gets on his bike and rides to training. And I don't know why that really hit home for me, but that really felt like an insight into his current character. And I'm not saying that's who he is inherently, because I feel like maybe things have just got on top for him, but that wasn't good. That wasn't good signs, I didn't think. I didn't see any humility. I didn't even see him address his bodyguard by his name, or vice versa. So I'm not sure, but like I said, I'm not here to judge, but I mean, I've probably only judged for the last 20 minutes. But anyway, you know what to do. If you enjoy the content, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and hit the little bell icon. We've got loads of things churning out constantly. Not only content, but I've got a lot of ideas in the pipeline. Some wild and wacky ones as well. So I'll keep you posted on them if anything materialises. Take care of yourself. Look after yourself. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Peace.